Hey everyone, welcome to the Viking Code School information session. My name is Erik Trautman. I'm the founder of Viking Code School. So if you're not familiar with the school, it is a, a fully online web development school. We offer a couple of different programs. We offer an immersive program primarily, and we've also begun offering a flexible program as an option for students who want to take the program on a bit more of a part-time basis or go at your own pace basis. The goal of the information session today is that you guys get a chance to ask any questions that you have. Basically, the way it'll work is I'll just provide a quick overview of the programs that we offer, and you guys are welcome to ask any questions that you have. We have a Q&A app enabled here. Since this is a Google Hangout on air, you're able to drop any questions right in the chat there, and I'll be able to see it. And otherwise, any other means necessary that you can get in touch, maybe on the Google Plus page, although it's not quite as ideal, we can do that as well. So I'll try to address questions as they come, or potentially at the end, kind of depending how this all comes together. Sometimes we get more than others, so we'll just play this by ear. Just to give a quick overview. Basically, I want to cover the immersive program, and then I'll cover the flex program, and then we'll just see if there's any questions. So basically, before getting started, the mission of the Viking Code School is to give anyone in the world a world-class education and a path to a high-growth career. That means regardless of your age, your income, your employment, or your prior experience, you should have the ability to access a path to bettering yourself and getting a career. So as part of that, the first program that we offered was a full-time immersive program, and so I know a number of you are probably interested in that. That's a program that lasts for 16 weeks. It's basically life-consuming. There's also, at least a couple of, well, generally between 1 and 2 months worth of prep before the program, and then there's plenty of stuff after the program that goes on to kind of support you during the after-program period. But basically, kind of the key feature of the immersive program is that you go through it with a cohort of other students. There's generally anywhere around 20-ish students in a cohort, and through that program, over those 16 weeks, you're kind of going all in on this whole thing, because it's about 80 hours a week worth of work. It's kind of one of those, you set aside everything else, you tell your family you'll see them in a few months, and you go heads down and you just dive into code. And so that program, it's particularly special because for qualifying students, students in the U.S. in particular, we also offer it on a deferred tuition basis. And so what that means is that you don't have to pay until you get a job, and it's a percentage of your salary instead of a fixed fee, meaning that we're sort of incentivized. Well, we clearly are incentivized to kind of go to bat with you and teach you to the best that you possibly can, so that you're able to get a job by the end of the program. We also offer it on a fixed fee basis, and that's for students who either they aren't necessarily interested in diving right into a software job after school. Maybe they're going back to school in college or something, or they're located outside of one of the deferred fee areas. There's a number of different reasons, but we also offer a fixed price option as well. I think it's probably worth taking a minute to just talk about what we do cover. The curriculum sort of bridges the gap between the two programs, the Flex program and the Immersive program, because the Immersive program and the Flex program share the same curriculum. And what that is it's designed to make you into a full stack developer. It goes broader and deeper than your typical, than just about any other curriculum that you'll find out there. It's something where we cover not just how to code, we cover how to be an engineer. We talk a little bit about design. We talk about everything on the hiring spectrum as well. There's a significant focus on hiring. It's as you go through it, it's something that's baked in the day that you enroll to the day that you actually sit your butt in a seat. And that means everything from personal branding to what you can do to start blogging, to start reaching out to people, to start organizing your Google search results, just the really basic nitty-gritty stuff, all the way through interview preparation, technical challenges, phone screens, through how to reach out on the side door, how to leverage a non-traditional background, how to contribute to open source, how to succeed in technical screens, how to take an offer and negotiate an offer and handle an offer, where to apply, just everything that you need as a full package to take yourself from someone who's not coming from a technical or development background to someone who can present themselves as a software engineer. Because by the end of that, you actually are a software engineer. And like I said, our goal is to make you full stack, but beyond that, it's to make you either employable on the back end or on the front end or as a full stack engineer. And so a lot of I think there's a lot of emphasis out there on this idea of full stack, which really just means some sort of backend technology and then like a little smattering of JavaScript and jQuery. So you can kind of say that you're full stack. We dive all the way into the front end as well. It's an equal part with our backend stuff. We do spend a lot of time in the backend covering fundamentals of programming, but that's kind of irrespective of whether that's meant to apply to the front end or the back end. And so we do spend a lot of time diving deep into the fundamentals of JavaScript in the second part of the program. And that takes us through Angularjs, which is one of the most popular MV Star frameworks on the front end, and lets you build these really cool front end, full-featured front end applications, single-page apps, and things like that. Backing up just a little bit in terms of the languages covered. I mean, we've got our basis is Ruby. Ruby becomes Ruby on Rails. We cover SQL databases and relational databases when we're working with full stack deployments and things like that. We talk about deploying to Heroku. We talk about working with on the back end as well, just a number of different little technologies like web scraping, pinging APIs, security authentication, just literally everything you need for a full stack application. On the front end in JavaScript as well. We dive deep into JavaScript. We do cover jQuery, but our emphasis in terms of deployable or in terms of sort of high-powered front-end technologies is on Angularjs at this point. At the end of the day, ultimately, it's much more about understanding the fundamentals of engineering than it is about working with a particular language. I mean, obviously, if you can learn these skills in a very confined period of time, once you know these skills as a baseline, your ability to leverage that into a different skill set is phenomenal. So I mean, we've had students finish the program and go out and, some of them are working in Angular and Rails, some of them are working in React, some of them are working in C#. It's just people can get hired in all sorts of different roles. When you can prove that you're a good engineer regardless of the actual technology stack. And so that's why before we even get into these sort of brand name technologies, we spend the first chunk of the program really diving into fundamentals, fundamentals of object orientation, how to test, how to use test-driven development, and how to work with data structures and algorithms. So we talk about the fundamental data structures. We talk about trade-offs in data structures, time complexity, space complexity, searching algorithms, sorting algorithms, graphs and trees, all sorts of cool stuff. You get to build in the early part of the program, we build a bunch of games, and you get to build artificial intelligences for those games. And later on, as the program goes on, we end up building up a lot more projects that are more web-based and website-based. And so you kind of transition from the kind of the basics of the command line all the way up into a much more full-featured step onto a real commercial job style web application skill set and project base, which ultimately becomes your portfolio. And then at the very end of the program, we have you work with a team of other students, regardless of how you take the program, whether it's on an immersive basis or a flex basis. We have you work with a team. It's the only required team project in the flex program, where you need to go from zero to deploy on a full-featured, full-size application. And what that means is we actually have you essentially dry run yourself as an engineer on an engineering team. And so that means coming up with an idea, pitching your idea, building mock-ups for your idea, turning that idea into user stories, laying out all those user stories, story pointing them, figuring out how difficult it's going to be, organizing them into agile sprints, and then performing these agile sprints with your team and with your partner or whoever you're working with. And ideally also working with a client and sort of going through the process of being an engineer for every day, checking in the mornings with the Scrum meeting, finishing the day with code review, and at the end of each sprint, doing a retrospective, deploying it, doing a mini demo, and then at the end of the whole project, you do a full demo to the entire Viking community and anyone at large who's out there as well. So it's a pretty cool blend of things where you kind of start with the baby steps, start with the context. Again, as part of our prep work, we get you into things like design, which it's not necessarily something that as a software engineer people typically study, but there is a component of design that's actually very important, I think, to understand how to be a full-featured engineer, to kind of be a truly powerful engineer. You really need to understand the context of why you're building what you're building, and then how it all fits together. And we kind of take you from the baby steps, the breadth there, to the baby steps of learning to code, to getting good on the command line, to getting good with algorithms and data structures and testing, and breaking you out into the web and interfacing you with APIs and building security systems, and then building more and more full-featured applications that push more and more into the front end. And finally, you have this tied all together engineering experience at the very end. And so that basically covers how the curriculum progresses. And then in terms of how you can take it, as I've already mentioned, there's the Immersive program, but then we also have the Flex program, which is currently in beta. And that's a program where you're able to go at your own pace. It's month to month, and we have a number of different ways to take it. And so sort of tying things back to that greater mission to try and make this as accessible as possible, what we found is, of course, that not everyone is ready to just leave their job and dive in and do a 16-week program plus whatever it is on either side, right? And that there are a lot of you out there who are interested in taking this kind of program, but just on a much more bespoke level, where you can kind of fit it into your life, however that is. And so the Flex program really originated from that, from us hearing from a lot of people who are coming from that type of situation. And so we put this together as a way that you can take the same curriculum, but again, at your own pace. We definitely recommend a minimum of 20 hours a week, because this is a curriculum that overall takes roughly about 1,200 hours to complete. And so if you want to sort of escape the gravity well of switching costs and things like that, you really do need to actually put in a serious amount of time to it. So it's no joke, but given that you're able to do that, you can space things out as much or as little as you need. You can sort of go all in and go crazy and try and get it done as fast as possible, or you can take sort of the longer approach and just work it into your daily and weekly routine, where you're building the projects on the side, you're meeting with a mentor on the side. We will put you in touch with industry engineers who are interested in giving back. There are a lot of people there. I mean, there's a great history in the engineering community of giving back, and everything that kind of ties around this idea of open source. Also, there's specifically teaching, and a lot of people who are currently working as high-powered engineers at a company, and then in the evenings are interested in working with students. And so we kind of hook you up with them, and so that you have someone who can work with you along the way. And so that's as part of our professional tiers and in the standard and accelerated tiers of the program. But everyone who's going through the program, you're able to access our basic chat support, and be a full member of the community regardless. And then we also have regular office hours sessions where our instructors will just pop into a screen sharing session and allow anyone to come in and share your code or ask questions or do whatever it is you want. So I mean, the idea is essentially to sort of mimic the open university model, where you have the professor just sitting in their room, and you can just come in and drop in and ask questions if you want. So everyone gets access to that as part of the Flex program. So even if you just want to go heads down, you're always going to run into problems. You're always going to need to debug stuff. So we do have a lot of outlets for you to be able to do that. And we want to make sure that that's something that that you understand as well, as someone who may or may not be interested in the program too. So basically, in the end of the day, what you get is our high-powered curriculum, and then you also get access to the support along the way that you need. And we've tried to price this at a level where obviously we can run the program, but it's also accessible in a way that very, very few other programs are. So that if it is something that you have to kind of squeeze in a little bit more, it is something that you're able to make that work. And because again, we're trying to take as many steps as we can to getting this out there. So I think that basically covers the arc of what we're doing: the Immersive program, the underlying curriculum, and the Flex program. The Immersive program being the all-in approach, which has the deferred tuition or the deferred fee plan associated with it, and the Flex program, which is go at your own pace, allows you to really chew and digest the material and build at your own pace, still with access to support and still accessing the same curriculum. So I think that covers everything. So if there are questions, definitely now's the time to do it in the application or in the Google Hangout on Air Q&A app. And if you don't have questions, I hope this was helpful. So I'll stick around for another 30 seconds or so. If there are no questions, then I think all is well. All right, well, if you're interested in the program, go to www.vikingcodeschool.com. If you want to learn about the Flex program, vikingcodeschool.com/flex. If you want to reach out, it's hello@vikingcodeschool.com. Or if you have specific questions to the Flex program, you can always reach out to flex@vikingcodeschool.com. I hope you guys have found this to be helpful, and I will be back same time every week. Have a good one.